Namaste, Suswagatam, and welcome to our Sunday edition of Gyan Ganga Words of Wisdom on our social media Virat Hindustan Sangam channels. We are simultaneously on numerous platforms, whether it is audio or video, and we thank our viewers across the globe for their Sunday support, and the number of viewers is growing all over the globe. Today we will be having a very interesting discussion, Caste Census, Pros and Cons. Today's episode number is 269, and for the next 45 minutes, along with Dr. Swami and the panel, we will be discussing about this Caste Census. I thank all our viewers for the support we get. I thank them and would request them, if you have not already done, to subscribe and like our channel. And before we proceed, as we know, we have been paying tributes to unsung heroes of our freedom movement and the past history. Today we will be talking about Dadasaheb Khaparde from Maharashtra. We'll be having the video now on him.
Dadasaheb Khaparde was born on 27 August 1854 in Ingroli village of Barar, present-day Hingoli district in Maharashtra. He studied at Elphinstone College, Bombay, completing his BA in 1877 and LLB in 1883. Initially serving as Extra Assistant Commissioner in Barar, he soon left British service, dissatisfied with colonial injustice. He set up a law practice in Amravati and became a fierce advocate for Swaraj. Influenced by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, he joined the extremist wing of the Indian National Congress. Known for his sharp intellect and strong oratory, he emerged as a bold nationalist voice from Vidarbha. In 1908, when Tilak was jailed for sedition, Khaparde sailed to England to appeal the sentence. For over 2 years, he lobbied British officials and spent his personal wealth defending Tilak's case. The British viewed him with suspicion. Once in London, his residence was raided under the fear he was aiding revolutionaries. Back in India, he co-founded the Indian Home Rule League in 1916 with Annie Besant and Tilak. During the Home Rule movement, he gave stirring speeches demanding self-rule and challenging the moral authority of British rule. His efforts angered the colonial government. He was closely surveilled and often threatened with arrest. Despite this, he continued writing, organizing, and awakening nationalist sentiments across Maharashtra. He also served in the Imperial Legislative Council from 1918 to 1933, voicing Indian interests strongly. He passed away on 1 July 1938, remembered as Nawab of Vidarbha for his public service, courage, and sacrifice.
We'll have a still on him. We pay our tributes to this great warrior from Vidarbha in Maharashtra, Dadasaheb Khaparde. Over to Dr. Swami to initiate today's discussion on the caste census, pros and cons. Thank you.
Thank you, Jagdish. This is a topic that has suddenly been imposed on the people of India in a suddenness which even surprised me. So therefore, some details are necessary for me to put across and begin a debate, which I hope is then debated in the rest of the country also. First of all, I'd like to say that we had earlier in the VP Singh government period an attempt to bring in this caste matters and also to develop a caste census. And there was a lot of upheaval, and that time the BJP was led by Advani in particular, was against this to be brought back, because this would We have reservation for scheduled castes, that's understandable. Scheduled tribes, that's understandable. But for all kinds of people, saying that they, without the material to show what kind of castes they are, what kind of sufferings they've had as a caste. Yes, there has been tension between various castes in our country, but the fact of the matter is that it was not a hostile one, because we are all together on the Hindutva concept. And so, therefore, it was at that time it led to agitation, and and VP Singh government in fact collapsed. And then Chandrasekhar's government came, and I was a senior minister in that, and we put it all in cold storage, and it had not then come back again. Now, today it has come back through the BJP Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, and not through the party. The party has not discussed this, either the parliamentary party or the party in general, because we have just completed the new bodies that we have created by the after the people got their positions, and therefore I think when it was not at all even in the picture, all of a sudden it has been put up, and it is basically saying that the caste census should be of the to make the people realize what our castes are. What do we need? We want the castes to go away now. We are all Hindus, especially us, the BJP, where we believe in Hindutva, and we don't make all these distinctions, and because there's no difference really. Our blood groups have been now documented in all the science magazines and so on, where it's very clearly shown that we are of the same people, we are the same blood formation. All that is there, and so this distinction of bringing in this caste had absolutely no basis. It appears to be a method of perhaps creating an atmosphere by which Mr. Modi can get a vote bank, which because he himself thinks that he is a backward class. We don't know exactly what he is, but the fact is that that's widely believed. So maybe he wants now to make them as his followers. So I start with that saying that this is totally uncalled for. It was not necessary. And you have a caste census, all right, you have a caste census. Why? Why do you want a caste census at all? Supposing a Jat marries a Brahmin, does it mean you'll have to have some kind of analysis as to the children, whether they are Jats or whether they are Brahmins? How can you raise these questions? So therefore, RSS had started this movement, and we all have taken it up, and we got lots and lots of support in the elections. And that was that we are all Hindus, and we don't. Yes, there is one group, the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, who have been suppressed. For them, we'll continue that. That's in the constitution already. But now to bring it up is going to be a big problem. Second thing is that you have no authority to impose this on the private sector. And so all that you're doing is that government employment, these backward castes or whatever, special caste names, etc. It is only meant for officials, officers, for the 4 categories that you have for government officials. So the government employment, where government is engaged in employment, there this matter becomes. But private sectors, private companies, none of them can be obliged, and in fact, if it is, it will be struck down as unconstitutional. So, what percentage is the government employment today? What government is proportion is where the government becomes a factor. It's a very small percentage, maybe 14-15%. The rest of it is completely out of this caste census matters. So I feel that it is more to create some kind of emotion that the Prime Minister has done this, and it's not fair, because as a member of the BJP, he should not have done this without deep study inside the party. And there was not a single meeting. There was nobody was even in writing anything was sent across and saying, "What is your opinion? We are going to have this." So of course, it will have to go to Parliament. But in Parliament, I'm not sure that we have today a situation where members of Parliament can rise against the Prime Minister and object to it. So let's begin by saying one thing, that we are falling into the same trap that the British made us fall into. And that it is the British who started all this business of caste and this thing, and their target was the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas. And so they said, these are the warrior caste, these are the educated class. So we have to make them targets of the people, and tell the people who have not got the education that the Brahmins have got, or the military prowess which the Kshatriyas have got, and say, no, you have been denied it. And so it created, the British created that. And we forgot all that, and thanks to Mahatma Gandhi and Sardar Patel and Subhash Chandra Bose and people like that, we began to think of ourselves as Hindus, Indians, and so on. And it went on for quite some time, till the first time during VP Singh's time, we sort of again went into this thing. I feel that we should now oppose it very strongly, and I would urge that the RSS should take the lead, because they have got that capacity. They have an organization where no caste picture comes in at all. Everybody is a Swayamsevak and is treated as one. And they should start a movement by first warning the Prime Minister, you withdraw this, you can't have it, because it hasn't been passed by Parliament yet. So therefore, it cannot become yet a matter for being considered by Parliament. So therefore, I feel that this should be resisted. This will only help our enemies. Our enemies will first try to create this kind of divisions, which we don't want. We want all Hindus, at least all Hindus. We would like all Indians to be one, but the fact is, all Hindus who are 80% of the population, they should become one. And over the period, we go on emphasizing that and make it that way. In the private sector, by the way, this cannot apply. So even what's going to happen is there's going to be a conflict between the government, people who are involved in the caste division, and the meritorious groups in the private sector, or in the teaching professions, in the private schools, colleges, and so on. All these will create further division. And so I would say that we should, as a people, all start opposing it. And in any election, and particularly in Bihar, I've heard the Bihar people, that people say about Bihar having a caste consciousness, and Mr. Modi has done this deliberately to win the elections in Bihar. That Bihar people, I would appeal to them, make sure that don't vote on the basis of this caste divisions that is being imposed upon us. So what I would say for us in this debate today is each of us express ourselves on this, and we, as I know that we also in our Gyan Ganga have people of different ways, and all are not Brahmins or all are not scheduled castes. We are of different groups, but we are all Indians, and of course, because we are 80% Hindu, so that shows up also in terms of the preponderance of the Hindus. So I would say we should therefore, as Hindus, make it a campaign, which I'm very thankful to our people, particularly Jagdish Shetty and his colleagues, who thought of this, because it was all going under the cover. And Mr. Modi went rushing the other day to Bihar only in order to see whether he could bring it in as a part of the election matter and provoke it in Bihar. So I would say this is a very dangerous development that has taken place, and we should oppose it tooth and nail. And we have had bad experiences in the past. Scheduled castes, of course, everybody knows that they were singled out, and the scheduled tribes were in the forests, and they got nothing by which the British didn't allow them to be part of the mainstream. And so all that has to be rectified. And we have gone a long way. And we have had many, very good people who are scheduled castes, right from Dr. Ambedkar downwards. So the efforts are going on. And this kind of thing of creating competition, and that too in the government sector, I think is something which is bad for the country. And therefore, I'm very thankful that our Gyan Ganga thought of bringing this up. I congratulate our team for thinking about this and bringing it out to the public. Let us today make a decision that if there's any effort made to bring in the census, we will oppose it, because we don't want to know how people. Yes, religion. We can't fight that, because the minorities would feel that they are being wiped out. So we say no. We will not break the religious part, but Hindus as a group must say that we are one people, and we can marry each other with different castes, this thing, etc. But Hindu is the only label which we are going to accept over and over again in future. Over to you, Jagdish. This is what I want to say.
थैंक यू डॉक्टर स्वामी. मैं अरविंद जी से विनंती करूंगा कि वो उनके विचार इस संदर्भ में रखे और हिंदी में जरा चर्चा करें, क्योंकि बहुत सारे उत्तर भारत के लोग इसके बारे में ज्ञान गंगा में और डॉक्टर स्वामी के विचार सुनना चाहते हैं.
धन्यवाद जगदीश. ये एक ऐसा विषय है जिस विषय को मैं जब से ज्ञान गंगा का कार्यक्रम शुरू हुआ है तब से चाहता था कि हम इस पर एक बार चर्चा करें. जाति एक विचार ऐसा है जो भारत को कम से कम 100 साल पहले त्याग देना चाहिए था. भारत की आर्थिक प्रगति यदि हुई है, जितनी भी आर्थिक प्रगति हमने पिछले 70 सालों में आजादी के बाद की है, ये प्रगति कम से कम दुगनी हो सकती थी अगर कास्ट हमारे बीच में, जाति हमारे बीच में नहीं होती. जब से इस जाति सेंसस का जो प्रश्न है, इसको मैं आरक्षण से जोड़ के चलता हूं. जब से आरक्षण अनुसूचित जाति और अनुसूचित जनजाति के लिए हुआ था, शेष समाज में कोई मुखर विरोध नहीं था. वो इसलिए कि 15% और 7.5%, सिर्फ 22.5%, 22.5% रिजर्वेशन था, बाकी 77% खुला हुआ था. और समाज में जो लोग योग्य थे, मेरिट के लोग थे, उनको जगह मिलती थी, उनको मौका मिलता था, उनको अवसर मिलता था. और चूंकि ये आरक्षण शुरुआत में भी 10 साल के लिए था, इसलिए किसी को इतना ऑब्जेक्शन, आपत्ति नहीं थी. लेकिन धीरे धीरे हमारे राजनीतिज्ञों ने, राजनीतिक पार्टियों ने इसको अपने वोट बैंक का आधार बनाया और इसको बढ़ाते गए. और अति तो तब हो गई 89 में, डॉक्टर स्वामी आपने अभी जिक्र किया, बीपी सिंह जब प्रधानमंत्री बने, उन्होंने मंडल कमीशन आयोग की सिफारिशों को लागू किया. और मंडल कमीशन की सिफारिशें, हालांकि जनता पार्टी सरकार के टाइम में मंडल कमीशन गठित हुआ था 77 में, लेकिन उसकी सिफारिशें ठंडे बस्ते में पड़ी हुई थी. कोई इसको पूछता नहीं था. कि उनको पता था कि यदि मंडल कमीशन लागू होगा तो समाज में बिखराव होगा. और मंडल कमीशन को बीपी सिंह ने अपने राजनीतिक फायदे के लिए लागू किया. वो एक माइनॉरिटी की सरकार थी. बाद में बीजेपी ने उसको सपोर्ट किया, कम्युनिस्टों ने भी सपोर्ट किया, तब वो जाके सरकार बना पाए. लेकिन जब रथ यात्रा के समय, अडवाणी जी की रथ यात्रा के समय जब बीजेपी ने सपोर्ट विड्रॉ किया, तो इस कमंडल का विरोध करने के लिए मंडल लाया गया, और उस समय कहा जा रहा था मंडल वर्सेस कमंडल। कमंडल मीन्स रथ यात्रा, मंडल मीन्स मंडल कमीशन। जो अभी जाति सेंसस की बात, कास्ट सेंसस की बात कर रहे हैं, ये उसी का एक एक्सटेंशन है, उसी का एक विस्तार है, और राजनीतिक वोट बैंक के भरोसे अपनी नाव आगे बढ़ाने के लिए प्रयास है। हालांकि अब राहुल गांधी ने भी इसको उठाया था, लेकिन सबसे पहले इसको लालू प्रसाद यादव और नीतीश कुमार दोनों ने मिलकर उठाया था। और ये एक कॉन्सेप्ट जो था, ये मान्यवर काशीराम जी ने दिया था। काशीराम जी कहते थे कि जितनी जिसकी संख्या भारी, उतनी उसकी हिस्सेदारी। दैट मीन्स इफ यू हैव मोर परसेंटेज एंड यू विल गेट दैट बेनिफिट इन दैट प्रोपोर्शन। तो ये जो काशीराम का प्रस्ताव था, ये काशीराम का प्रस्ताव पिछड़ों के लिए था। बीपी सिंह ने इसको हवा दे दी, और उसके बाद नीतीश कुमार और लालू प्रसाद यादव, जो कास्ट बेस्ड राजनीति ही करते आ रहे हैं अपने पूरे जीवन में, उन्होंने इसको हवा दी। जब बीजेपी को ये लगने लगा कि पूरा विपक्ष कास्ट की राजनीति को आधार बनाकर सेंसस की मांग कर रहा है, तो मोदी जी रातों रात पलट गए। हुआ ऐसा, 22 अप्रैल को जब पहलगाम में अटैक हुआ, तो हम तो उम्मीद कर रहे थे कोई पटाखा मोदी जी पहले छोड़ेंगे और बड़ी चीज होने वाली है, बड़ी चीज होने वाली है, यही रोज कहा जा रहा था। और जब बड़ी चीज आई तो पता लगा ये कास्ट सेंसस का घोषणा पहले हुई, स्ट्राइक तो बाद में हुई। तो आई थिंक, इन माय व्यू, दिस इज गोइंग बैक एटलीस्ट 50 years if not 100 years on the path of progress। यदि हम कास्ट सेंसस को करते हैं, इसका उद्देश्य क्या है, मतलब क्या है, ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है? ऑब्जेक्टिव ये है कि जो शेड्यूल्ड कास्ट, शेड्यूल्ड ट्राइब, इंक्लूडिंग मुस्लिम्स एंड क्रिश्चियंस नाउ, जो उसमें शेड्यूल्ड कास्ट भी ढूंढे जा रहे हैं, और ओबीसी, इनकी जो परसेंटेज होगी, दैट परसेंटेज विल बी गिवन प्रोपोर्शनेट रिप्रेजेंटेशन, चाहे वो लेजिस्लेचर में हो, चाहे वो एडमिशंस में हो, चाहे वो जॉब्स में हो। I have been for one opposing reservation per se in all the categories, irrespective of whether it is women's reservation, whether it is scheduled caste reservation or scheduled tribe reservation. American concept of affirmative action, अमेरिका में affirmative action है, जो लोग पिछड़े हैं, जो लोग दबे हुए हैं, कुचले हैं, oppressed हैं, suppressed हैं, उनके लिए affirmative action yes, reservation no। But unfortunately हमारे देश में कोई ये कहने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, बिकॉज देयर इज नो स्टेट्समैन, देयर इज ओनली पॉलिटिशियन। हम सोचते थे एक जमाने में कि आरएसएस इसका विरोध करेगी, क्योंकि मंडल कमीशन का उन्होंने विरोध किया था। अडवाणी जी खुद मंडल कमीशन के विरोध में थे, लेकिन बाद में जब उनको रियलाइज हुआ कि इससे उनकी वोट बैंक पुख्ता होती है, मजबूत होती है, तो वो उस पर आ गए। और यही कारण है कि बिहार चुनाव को देखते हुए मोदी जी ने ये अनाउंसमेंट किया है। अब सवाल ये है कि ये अनाउंसमेंट कितना सही होगा और कितना लोगों को फायदा होगा। पहली बात, नो डेट हैज बीन अनाउंस्ड। 2021 में जो हमारा रेगुलर सेंसस होने वाला था, कोविड की वजह से नहीं हुआ। सो वी आर स्टिल गोइंग विद द फिगर ऑफ 2011। द प्रोजेक्शन इज बेस्ड ऑन दी एक्सट्रापोलेशन के आधार पे हम अभी तक सारी नीतियां बना रहे हैं। अगला सेंसस हमारा 2031 में ड्यू है। अब कहा यह जा रहा है कि कास्ट सेंसस विल बी इंक्लूडेड इन 2031 सेंसस, पहली बात। दूसरी बात, नो बजट हैज बीन सैंक्शन्ड फॉर कास्ट सेंसस, नो पैरामीटर्स हैव बीन आइडेंटिफाइड ऑफ द कास्ट सेंसस। एंड डॉक्टर स्वामी, आपने जिक्र किया पहले जो बीपी सिंह के टाइम की बात थी, 2011 में सोशल बेस्ड कास्ट सेंसस हुआ था, लेकिन वो फिगर्स रिलीज नहीं किए गए फॉर वट एवर रीजन ड्यूरिंग द कांग्रेस टाइम, एंड दे थॉट कि हम उसका फायदा उठाएंगे ओबीसी और एससी और एसटी को रिजर्वेशन देके। लेकिन सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जो बार है, जब बाइंडिंग है 50% की, राहुल गांधी एंड अदर अपोजिशन लीडर्स हैव बीन सेइंग हम उसको 75% तक ले जाएंगे। Now there have been only 2 attempts. One by Nitish Kumar in Bihar. In 2023, he conducted a caste census, and according to whatever, it was unprepared announcement, and suddenly he did. Actually, it was not caste census; it was a sample-based projection. So he took a large sample, and based on that sample, he projected कि 84% बैकवर्ड और शेड्यूल्ड कास्ट और शेड्यूल्ड ट्राइब हैं और 16% अपर कास्ट हैं. बेसिकली आइडिया इज दैट ड्यूरिंग दिस इलेक्शन कैंपेन, आज या कल या जब भी इलेक्शन होंगे, कहीं पे भी इलेक्शन होंगे, तो चुनाव के लिए इस फिगर को, इस संख्या को उठाया जाएगा. और निशाने पर कौन होंगे? निशाने पर होंगे अपर कास्ट. Upper caste will be deprived of whatever limited facilities they have today. So it is not only victimization. I am saying the 50 years back we should have done away with the caste. जाति को हमें तभी बाहर कर देना चाहिए था. और बीजेपी खासतौर से डॉक्टर स्वामी, अभी आपने जिक्र भी किया कि हम सब हिंदू हैं, और हिंदू एकता के नाम पे हमें कास्ट को तिलांजलि दे देनी चाहिए. और यहाँ 3 लोग जो स्क्रीन पर बैठे हैं, उन तीनों ने उदाहरण प्रस्तुत किया है समाज के सामने कास्ट के बाहर. और हमें कास्ट को भुलाकर जब तक ये मतभेद, एक जमाने में सरकारें कहती थी, चौधरी चरण सिंह ने उत्तर प्रदेश में शुरुआत की थी कि जो व्यक्ति कास्ट के बाहर जाके शादी करेगा उसको पुरस्कार दिया जाएगा, उसको सम्मानित किया जाएगा. चौधरी चरण सिंह स्टार्टेड दिस, एंड ही वाज द पर्सन हु वाज अक्यूज्ड ऑफ बीइंग अ जाट लीडर. और तो ये जो हमें 50 साल पहले करना चाहिए था, जो चौधरी चरण सिंह ने शुरुआत की थी, वो आज हम उल्टी दिशा में जा रहे हैं. वी आर गोइंग इन रिवर्स डायरेक्शन. दिस कास्ट विल अल्टीमेटली, समाज में बिखराव आएगा, समाज में भेदभाव होगा, समाज में टूटन होगी, मेरिट विल टेक ए बैक सीट, और रिजर्वेशन हमारा आगे हो जाएगा. आई थिंक दिस इज ए रिट्रोग्रेड स्टेप, एंड दिस विल टेक इंडिया एटलीस्ट 100 years back.
Very good.
Thank you, Arvind, for that insight into the system. But I think I want to make some observations. Today, we are strictly only talking on the caste census, and we are not specific on the reservation. We will talk it in a different program. But if I recall correctly, the British India, that is prior to independence, they were doing caste census, and rightly in the year 1951, government of India decided not to do caste census. That doesn't mean that we will not do scheduled tribe and scheduled caste, but we will not do caste census, which was basically evil design of the British, and they greatly successful in many states, and in Tamil Nadu they were able to divide the people on these caste lines. But what really has happened is, in the last 70 or more years, 75 years after the Indian Constitution came into effect, and it will be 75 years this year, we have not had caste census officially by the central government. I think by some directives about 10 to 15 years ago, 20 years ago, there was surveys done by the respective state government. Some data was collected. First time BJP as a party and Sangha Parivar as a social movement is against these divisions on caste lines. So it is really surprising that without discussion in any forum of the party, Mr. Modi unilaterally in a subcommittee of the cabinet decided to take this lead on this caste reservation, after in the past having opposed it rightly. In fact, the IT cells, unbucks and gunbucks were very active if anybody was for caste reservation, but suddenly they have gone back to the sewer. Don't know what has happened to them. They are not attacking their great leader on this caste census. So it's a time. I will share with our viewers a very interesting survey that was being conducted. and you will be surprised. I'm a member of the BJP in Maharashtra, Mumbai. During the run-up to the Lok Sabha elections and to the Vidhan Sabha elections in Maharashtra in the year 2024, I used to get frequent phone calls from the party office that a survey is being conducted on what are the winning chances of candidates in the region or in that. And one last question they used to ask me, what caste do you belong to? And every time when I told them that I am a Hindu Indian, they were surprised. They say, please tell us what caste you belong to. Now, this is the type of mentality if we in modern times have a political party which is ruling at the center. I'm very sad about it. I'm not criticizing, but they used to ask me, and every time the survey perhaps used to be remain incomplete, I used to get repeated calls that your survey is incomplete. Which caste are you from? I said, you write there Indian or write there Hindu, because I don't belong to any caste. And surprisingly, the caste system, which was to, we politicians had to wipe it out. In fact, we politicians are trying to revive the caste system and create chaos in the country. So all this U-turn by Narendra Modi is not a healthy U-turn. I think if Arvind Chaturvedi says the next census, if it is in 2031 or perhaps earlier, I don't know, because they'll have to make up for 2021. I don't know what will happen, which governments will be there, which ideologies will be in power. I hope it is going to be, and there's all chances of the BJP Sangh Parivar ideology being in this country. We are not compromising on scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. But as far as the caste census is concerned, I think this is uncalled for. We must help the backward classes rise up, give them better education, give them better opportunities, and all that we must do. But we must try to do away with this caste system. I will tell you a very interesting thing. I've been in politics since the emergency, but I started visiting Delhi more often after 1985. And that is the time, after going to Delhi for political meetings or internal meetings of the party, I realized that how caste system has become important. Being in a Mumbai or Maharashtra bred person, especially in an urban area, I never realized what is the importance of caste. But when I went to Delhi and I mixed with other friends from North India, then I realized this whole system of caste, how it is important, how it, no merit counts, but this caste system counts. So we politicians, at least those who are associated with politics, I think, and especially the younger generation, should do away with this caste system. The caste system is bad and the caste census is worst, because by this, even if somebody has forgotten about the caste system, he becomes aware that he must declare his caste. I don't know what the options will be in the caste census or the survey, but I think the Sangh Parivar should start, because there will be vested interest within the BJP who will try to defame people who are talking against it. And in the past also, just before, I think two BR elections, two means 2 terms earlier BR election, some people had tried to, some people in the BJP in power had to try to twist a very important announcement made by the Sar Sangha Chalak on reservation and caste system, and it was tried to be twisted and a different connotation or different angle was given to it. It's time modern India should rise above all this caste system. No doubt people from the backward classes or the deprived classes or scheduled tribe and scheduled caste have to be given their due share. But just dividing everything on caste line is not going to solve the problem. We are going backward. The world is going ahead. We are talking about merits. We are talking about digital India. We are talking about progress, reaching Mars and Moon. but all this will put us backward. So it's time to wake up, and BJP and the Sangh Parivar should start asserting itself on the real agenda and ideology. Ramesh?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Dr. Swami, I want to make a couple of remarks, and then predominantly I have a lot of questions for you based on the Constitution. Dr. Swami, as Jagdish ji very rightly said, the reservation part, let's keep it aside. But this caste census, Dr. Swami, is whether it is welcome or not, it is a very dangerous thing to have. I'll tell you why. Because whenever it's like, even if the census gets done, the politicians are going to weaponize it. I am pretty sure if the intention might be good or not, they're going to weaponize this caste census and say, oh, based on this, and it is going to create chaos in the country, Dr. Swami. I'm pretty sure about this because the politicians tend to do this very easily, because once they have some data like this, they're going to use this data and turn one set of caste against another, people against. There's going to be so much of civil unrest within the country, Dr. Swami. I think this should be opposed, and the caste census should not be allowed. This is primary number one. Because, as you mentioned, Doctor, we are doing the same thing that the Britishers had done to India, divide and rule. This caste census is just going to create more, in reality, probably families living to each other, they're not going to fight. But the politicians are definitely going to use this to foment a lot of distrust, hate, and whatnot, Dr. Swami. So that is my first observation about this caste census, because whether we need it or not is one point, but it is a dangerous thing to undertake at this point in time. Shamelessly, Modi, when he was in 2023, before the elections, made a statement: victory of women, youth, poor and farmers are the only four castes that I believe in. Now, this very same person is now saying that we have to do a caste census. We'll have to do. Is the hypocrisy of this is absolutely shocking, Dr. Swami. Even as of a few months ago, Amit Shah and Modi, they were dead against all this caste census, because where we are, we should think about, whatever. He's coming up with one scheme or the other. Amrit Bharat. I really don't know what he comes up with, but with so many other schemes. And as Jagdish ji rightly pointed out, we are in a 22nd century. We are in a digital world. This caste, religion, it doesn't make any sense. We should, in fact, encourage, support. I mean, why do you even bring that concept to the youth if they are economically backward? And Dr. Swami, you have repeatedly mentioned that we need to support economically weak people. I completely agree about that. Give them an education. Give them all the tools and vocational skills for them to be skilled up. If you want to compete with China, because the world is looking for an alternative with China, slightly digressing, but I'll tell you why I'm bringing this topic up, because talent, skill, this is what the world is looking for. And I think instead of running around this caste census, I know why Modi is doing this, because Bihar elections are around. And sadly enough, Bihar UP's caste nonsense is high, purely because of the politicians. And they just keep fomenting the same caste nonsense day in and day out. Very easily, all these politicians immediately say Ambedkar. Absolute nonsense, because Ambedkar is totally against the caste census. He says this caste nonsense should be killed. He was dead against caste overall. He says oppressed, oppressed. There should not be an upper, lower, middle, nothing, no caste at all. No caste at all. Now this saying it's Ambedkar. What a shame for a person who wrote the Indian Constitution, who made it very clear. Article 15(1), what does it say? Prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste. So this, Dr. Swami, my first question to you is, isn't the caste census a direct violation of Article 15(1) of the Constitution?
Yes, it's a very good argument.
Because the state shall not discriminate against any citizen on the grounds only of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, or any of them.
Yeah.
That's it. So the caste census is a direct violation of that Article 15(1) of the Constitution, Dr. Swami.
Yes, if Modi is able to take this through the parliament, you have just given me a new weapon by which I can challenge it in court and raise that this is against our basic structure of the Constitution. I agree with you.
Go ahead, Dr. Swami. Sorry.
Yeah, it's true. Go ahead.
Just Ramesh, let me tell you, even for the reservation, they don't call it caste-based reservation.
Ah.
They call it class-based reservations. So in the reservation policy also, they are not using caste. They're using the word class. So that this the constitution thing is not violated. It's class, not caste.
No, first of all, there is no such a thing called class in the Indian Constitution. Because there's no such word in the Indian
Yes.
Constitution called class. So all this is just nonsense because it's unconstitutional, first of all.
Correct.
Straight off.
Correct.
There is no word called class in the Indian Constitution or anywhere in the
Yes.
law. So
Right.
whatever they want to say, the politicians can do wordsmithing. But at the end of the day, there is no such thing called a class defined anywhere in any of
They
the rules
say
of the Indian
in
Indian
Hindi
law.
they say varg, not jati. वर्ग आधारित व्यवस्था है.
जी, but वर्ग का जो शब्द है वो तो एक not even in one law book.
हाँ.
वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में भी नहीं है. तो इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ कि also ये शब्द तो he can do wordsmithing to please people or fool people, but at the end of the day, what the law of the land as laid by Ambedkar says very clearly, you cannot discriminate based on caste.
Yes.
So this is a direct violation. So Dr. Swami, this is one very important topic. It less than about 20 days ago, 15 days ago, the Madras High Court made a fantastic observation. They said where this religion and caste came into play. So if a person converts, let us say a Dalit converts to Christianity, the Madras High Court said you lose your caste status.
Yeah.
I think that is a very important step to reduce this nonsense, because this religious mafia, conversion mafia, I'm not slightly digressing, but it is a very important thing that people say, oh, am I not going to be a Dalit? I will lose all my benefits of this. So it's also something Jagdish brought this up and I wanted to say how important the topic is also. We will discuss that at a separate time.
Yeah, that's right.
And the second part of the weaponization, Dr. Swami, I hope that this government does not use this so-called caste census, if made to happen, to disrupt whatever is there in the reservation system, because already 60% is reserved for everything, Tom, Dick and Harry, whatever you want to go, right? There are 4,000 odd castes, mind-boggling numbers. Nobody knows who's what caste. There are 10 different castes only in Mudaliyar, so we don't know. I mean, so things like that, so they just keep boiling up, and everybody want to. If we go based on, if the caste is supposed to be based on volume, I think the Brahmins will be the biggest minority in India today. Because there are no true Brahmins left anymore. I mean, I'm not going by the definition of what you call a Brahmin, Dr. Swami, but from a perspective, there is actually because in Tamil Nadu, Brahmins are 1.7% of the population. So shouldn't all the reservations come to Brahmins in Tamil Nadu? So the politicians' argument that minority, what is the definition of minority? It could be a population minority, a religious minority. Yes, we are. So, I mean, it just falls back on the face of these politicians that they're not going to argue about this, Dr. Swami. But coming back to the point, this caste census is going to cause so much of disruption rather than doing any benefits, because at the end of the day, sadly, Dr. Swami, given what we have seen in 1990s when this Mandal Commission came in to report the deaths that have happened, the riots that have happened, it's only, again, these poor people that are going to get impacted. These politicians are just going to reignite this fire and sit back and do charche pe charcha, chai pe charcha, or monkey bath. That's it. That's what we're going to do. So that's what I wanted to, my thoughts on Dr. Swami.
Very good points. Very good point.
Dr. Swami.
Yes.
I think out of the 4 people, 3 will definitely can become co-petitioners. Arvind did not fully disclose, but 3 of us can be co-petitioners for our status on the caste. 3 of us can be co-petitioners, because perhaps we will be a class apart. Because what will our children be known as, which caste? The court will have to lay down a ruling that in terms of inter-caste marriages or inter-religious marriages, what will the caste be of the children? Perhaps they can be the only caste after scheduled caste and scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, which will be entitled for reservation for having broken the caste system. Perhaps courts will have to lay down this thing. Why should the court say that only the mother side should be considered or the father side? I would argue that in Mangalore and Kerala, we have the matriarchal system. Somewhere where
Even,
some people
even
will
in
say we have the
Northeast,
patriarchal system.
even in Northeast, you have matriarchal system.
Yeah.
Yes.
So question will be, what will the people who have tried to break the caste and religious barriers, what will their children caste be? We have to develop a mindset to compete in the international arena, that merit should count, and this
Absolutely.
caste census should be done away. I think Ramesh or Arvind was, I think Rameshji was saying that it is being introduced now as a caste census. But please understand, this caste census is a dangerous tool for the future. Why do you require a caste census? You require a caste census for all your political activities. You are not interested in the real bringing bringing the downtrodden, giving them more facility. This is being used as a political weapon, and it is a very dangerous thing. So if somebody is saying, no, we will do this caste census and just keep it, that doesn't happen that way. This is a dangerous tool which will wreck our whole social fabric of this country. We knew what happened during the Mandal Commission report and during VP Singh's time. He perhaps wanted to try to downplay Devilal's Kisan Sammelans. So he thought that the best way is to strengthen himself is go for Mandalization. So this type of dangerous tactics, I think a nation which is 75 plus years, we should avoid all this.
Jagdish, let me add one more thing. When you mentioned BP Singh, BP Singh was provoked to go into the Mandal Commission because BP Singh also thought he will become the Masiha of the OBCs by this. And BP Singh was the first political leader to be forgotten in this country. Nobody now talks about BP Singh. And if you ask a young person, does he even remember the name of BP Singh? So those who live by the history, they go down in the history. And therefore, it is very dangerous for the country to take this. Number one, just one more point to answer Ramesh. Because Ramesh said for a while, and Jagdish also said, let's keep reservation and caste census separately. Ultimately, the purpose of the caste census is reservation only.
I agree.
They are openly saying that 50% barrier by the Supreme Court, that will be lifted. Rahul Gandhi is saying they'll take it to 75%, 80%. Ultimately, the objective, whether they announce it or do not announce it, is the basically reservation. So for a while, maybe we can keep the topic separate, but ultimately the two topics are linked.
Arvindji, I completely agree with you on this. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Because both are huge subjects on their own. Caste reservation, caste census, caste essay is a huge, and reservation is another ball of whole ball of wax around on its own. But I agree, both are tightly interlinked. You really cannot separate them, but unfortunately, it's a spillover because without caste census or caste whatever the reservation doesn't exist, right? You abolish caste, so-called, because every party wants to abolish caste. You abolish the caste, the reservation system is dead.
Absolutely.
Right? Because every government says we should abolish caste, which is what the Article 15(1) of the Constitution says. But no, this country still has 50% national, ceiling 50%, but only in Tamil Nadu is 69%. In Tamil Nadu, we have 69% reservation because it predates this 50% ceiling laid by the court. What is Rahul Gandhi trying to do? He is trying to say, okay, let us bring this caste census, this data, and disrupt that 50. So he's also looking for a way to disrupt. That's exactly what he said, disrupt that 50% ceiling. So they are only there to foment more hatred amongst the people, division amongst people, create chaos because they are not able to come up with any more sensible. Dr. Swami, in history, there is a parallel, Dr. Swami. In Japan in the 19th century, they enacted something that completely, because Japanese were even worse than India in terms of the caste, even though such being a small country. In one cut, they completely cut everything. And look where Japan is today, Dr. Swami. And that's exactly, and I agree with Arvindji that we should abolish the caste system. Let's say caste should not be there in 10 years. Okay, we're going to do this. In 10 years, we're going to reskill the entire country, make this country so prosperous, people don't have to worry about getting a job or not. But why is this caste? Because everybody, I think Arvindji said that very eloquently. He said, in government jobs, right? Everybody wants to say, okay, I'm in this jati, and I'm going to get a government job and sit there. You disincentivize that. Disincentivize. Let the government not hire people. Why should the government be in business, doing business? You disincentivize them, create such a big demand for people in a private sector, so that these people will not be even, they don't care about a job in the government anymore. And last question, Arvind did raise this, but I have to ask you, Dr. Swami, can the government impose reservations in private sector? Yes or no, legally?
When it was last considered about 25 years ago, the courts held that they cannot, because the power of the government to have reservations in jobs and so on are only where the government has made the majority contribution to the companies or whatever they float. So what I think is perhaps for the next session, we can continue with this with 2-3 other aspects added as to how we proceed. If this matter comes in the parliament, how can we oppose it while being outside the parliament? And 2, what is our scope on going to courts and challenging it? And you know that it's not that easy, whether it's a religious question like you have in Kerala, where a temple could not be molded in the way the pujaris wanted. And the court has got into it in a very, very big way in the Supreme Court level. So I think this also is going to be a problem. And I think, frankly, Mr. Modi has come to realize that he is going to be asked to leave the prime ministership's position. And he is bringing this up in order to create a battle cry for his continuing for further as prime minister. This is what I feel. Otherwise, all these years he has not said a word about this, and in fact he has said the opposite of what he is now saying, without any explanation.
Yeah, this nonsense that he's trying to perpetrate, Dr. Swami, is purely because of the Bihar elections. It is one of the biggest reasons that he's doing, because Nitish Kumar must
but
be.
You cannot contain it in Bihar anymore. If you make it public, then it will start expanding to other states also.
Yeah,
so just because Bihar has, and I'm not even sure that Bihar is going to accept this, because they are not going to accept him just because he has come up with this suggestion. And I don't know what about the other, because nobody has reacted favorably except Nitish. Nobody has reacted favorably to what he has said about this caste reservations.
And I think, Dr. Swami, Nitish is basically on-twisting Modi about this because of the support. He says, okay, if you don't bring this in, then no support. I mean, it's so obvious. Even if first grader would understand this equation, saying that why would this happen if you have resisted this from all along so far, for whatever long your political history has been, or BJP's political history has been. We have compared the BJP as a party, as an ideology, right from day one. RSS ideology is from 1926, also says the same thing in the constitution. Suddenly you turn around and says we will do a caste census. So it's obviously that he's desperate to get some win or the other. He can't afford to lose.
Yes, agreed. This is the issue with, and I think we frankly, those of us who have access should also speak to the RSS and saying that that this is a matter of national importance, and they should also come forward in this and encourage all of us to carry forward this opposition to this new presentation of the Prime Minister.
Agree, Dr. Swami. Completely agree. So, Arvindji, I have one question. In educational institutions, is even there, I feel that there are a bunch of reservations as well. Have you seen any impact of it being up or down? I mean, I think it's more because you're
if you ask me to say, I would say reservation in last for 65 years has not yielded any positive result, or at least not yielded the kind of results which were expected when the reservation was introduced. And therefore, have been opposing right from the days of Mandal Commission. As you said, there were a lot of young students who committed suicide because of that, and there was a lot of bad blood in the society. And I'm sure this census, once the data is released, and once the policy implications start, after that, there will be a similar situation. I'm warning, if the policymakers of this country are listening anywhere, then this is a very dangerous step for the national integration of the country.
And one thing,
Right.
Arvindji, I wanted to say, I want to bring Dr. Swami, one thing.
Yes.
A bunch of so-called Ambedkarites, they created a case against Cisco of caste discrimination in recruiting. This was huge in America a few years ago. They went up and down. The media was crying, this and that. When they go to court, the court immediately kicked the whole case out and kicked the thing and said, if you bring any such nonsense again into this court, you'll be fined. Because there is no such a thing called caste defined in our laws or constitution. So I'm kicking this thing for frivolous. They, short of fining them, Dr. Swami, all these nonsensical people, they created such a big furor in America that because very clearly the court said we have one simple equation, which is the affirmative action. Is that a violating of affirmative action? No. Get out. That's it. They threw this case out, and they tried to bring this up in Seattle, in Washington State. They tried in California. They just threw it out and says there's absolutely no chance of this going any further, because the next step was Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is going to go even more worse on them. So they just completely killed that whole thing, because for 3 people, they said one Brahmin guy did not recruit 3 people, or some frivolous case. The court came down heavily on them. I mean, I'm just saying, and I'm bringing back to the point, because affirmative action is a much more sensible. India could have learned from America, because this affirmative action has been implemented for so long and it's successful. Look where we are today.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I think, somebody asked, how will you get rid of caste system? See, again, if we keep asking these questions over and over again, we should say, okay, going forward, I'll teach my grandchildren or children saying that, hey, you should fight towards eliminating caste system. You are that person. Like you, 10 million, 1 billion people should fight against this caste and saying we should eliminate this. That is the way we can get rid of it. Because I'm telling you, even the backward classes, you go tell them, what are you gaining out of this caste reservations? Nothing. They wouldn't have any issues in getting it eliminated. But what the biggest challenge is, the politicians are not going to allow you to do it, because that is their weapon. And again, this caste census, I'm going to reiterate, is much more, you're just adding more nuclear power to that nonsense, to these politicians' arsenal, and they're just going to exploit it.
Yep.
You see, Ramesh, you said about benefit. You see, take Bihar, for example. Bihar, they had reservation all over, but Bihar, they said that backwards are not getting the benefit. Pichhada ko labh nahi mil raha hai. Then they created another class called Ati Pichhada. Then they created another class called Ati Pichhada. I mean, this kind of balkanization of the country is taking place in the name of caste. And I'm afraid there are not many people who are raising this issue.
Oh.
And all of them is completely against the constitution. Again, and nobody has challenged it so far. The issue is, it has not been challenged in the courts, obviously, because we feel that, okay, some people are going to get benefit, and we understand the need for it when the independence was there. But in this day and age, where the world is looking for skill, not for your caste, the first thing they will ask you is, do you know this? Do you know Java, C++? Do you know AI? Do you know Python? They're not going to ask about your jati. If you go to a manufacturing skill set, do you know how to do tooling? Do you know how to do planing? Do you know how to do this? They're not going to ask you about your jati. The application doesn't say what jati. You said, do you have these skills for this job? If you're a chemist, do you know chemistry? What have you done so much? There's nobody there in this question that says, do you know what jati you are?
Yeah.
This mindset has to change, and saying that if you are this jati, you'll be automatically given a government job, whether you have the skill or not. And it gets reflected in the quality of service that you get in any government office these days. It's obvious.
Yeah.
People should come out of that.
Ramesh, you said we'll discuss that reservation thing separately. I'm not only talking about reservation in jobs. If you look at the real data, of the reservation, how it is affecting the upper caste candidates in admissions in colleges. You know, people who are getting 95%, 96% are denied the admission.
I am
And
a
people
victim
who
of that,
30%,
Arvind.
20% get admissions.
I
So where
was
is
a victim
merit
of
in
the
this
same
country?
thing. I was a victim of the same thing when I graduated.
Yeah. So where is merit? Where are we taking our society?
Yes, sir.
Nobody raises these
Conclude.
issues.
I think we have passed
Yeah.
1 hour, Arvind. We need to
Yeah.
wind up.
Yeah, we'll have another session later on after getting more.
Thanks, Ramesh and Jagdish for suggesting this topic. This topic, I think, is very dear to me. I've been raising this issue for a long time, last 35 years. And of course, it is linked with the caste reservation, caste-based reservation. Even the Junjuna of this EWS 10% reservation for upper caste in the name of economic weaker section was only given by BJP government to silence the opposition of the caste reservation. And this policy will, I'm repeating the word, it will balkanize this country sooner or later. And therefore, the people should be warned, people should realize today that this is a dangerous step and it should be taken back. As Dr. Swami said, people who have approached or access to the policymakers, including the Nagpur, where the policy decisions, some policy decisions are made. If they can control this, it will be better. And otherwise, in the name of election, we are only destroying the country. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Swami. You have been an expert on this, and you have been saying all along for last 50 years that caste is not birth-based. In
Yes.
Gita also it is said caste is a karma based, not based
Yes.
on the birth. And therefore, I mean, it's a very small example. One OBC leader or an OBC player was dropped from Indian cricket team, and there was a whole noise in the social media that because he was belonging to the OBC, I'm not naming him, of course, he was dropped because he was OBC. But later on, of course, he was included, and that noise was silent. So people have gone to that extent. The feeling is gone so deep in the society, it is very dangerous. Thank you, Dr. Swami, for raising this issue today. And if time permits, maybe later on, we'll also link it with the reservation issue, because reservation issue is a direct fallout of the any discussion on caste. Thanks, Ramesh and Jagdish Shetty ji. Thanks the technical team led by Ashish Shetty, as Jagdish said in the beginning, that our reach is increasing day by day, and we are happy to welcome all the new viewers who are joining our Words of Wisdom Gyan Ganga program. That because of the excellent work done by technical team led by Ashish Shetty, Swaminathan, Tejas Navalgul, Gadgi Rakesh, Ishwar Iyer, Ajesh Nair, and Gurudas Shetty. We'll be meeting again next Sunday, Indian Standard Time, 8 p.m. with a new topic with Dr. Subramanian Swami. Until then, Namaskar, Jai Hind, Jai Shri Ram.
Dhanyawad, Jai Hind, Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.